Back to the arbitrary YouTube channel. So this class will be learning how to make this beautiful stylish cape. It's a very simple cape design and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this cape, the measurement I'm using, you need to measure the length of how long you want it to be. So for me, I want my length to be about 15 inches, so I added 1 inch allowance so that I can use that to turn it out. And then the width that I'm working with, the width is on fold. Remember, this is for both front and back, and I'm going to cut it together. That's why it's on fold. So for your width, you need to measure that part that is going to be like a cone. So for me, I want that part to be around 6 inches, so I have it here. So after measuring that 6 inches, I have about extra 9 inch. So to get your extra 9 inch, you need to measure your neckline. That's where you're going to be placing it. So you just put your neckline on fold by 2 like this. So when you get the midpoint, you measure your midpoint to your shoulder area. So here, this is about, I think, 6 or 7 inches. So you had extra allowance for your pleat for that. So in all, I have about 15 inches here on fold for my front and back width. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to create that cone part. So to create the cone, like I said, I want the cone to be around 5 to 6 inches. So I'm just going to measure 5.5 inches here like this. You can see. Then after measuring the 5.5 inches, I folded the lining and the main fabric together. That's why you have two like that. So here on that 5 inches mark, I'm going to go down by around 1 inch. So after going down by 1 inch, I'm going to take my ruler and then I'm going to connect it in the vertical form, like in the diagonal form like this, so that I can have that sharp cone. So after having that, the next thing now, here I'm going to create like a neckline. Okay, so you can see I'm just using my free hand, but to put the measurement to it, I can just come down by 3 to 3.5 inches, and then I'm just going to curve it like this. Okay, so after curving it, I'm going to cut out what I have. So this is the cone and this is my neckline part. Okay, so you can use your neckline to also shape this by placing the neckline you want to sew this to, and then you use it to trace it out. So I'm just working on the cape, so I don't have a neckline. So now this is what I have. So after this, the next thing is to shape the hem. So to shape the hem, I'm going to be creating like an arc. So here again, using my free hand, I'm just going to blend it in like this, and then once I create this arc, I'm going to take my scissors again, and then I'm going to shape it, making sure that everything rhymes together. So after shaping it out, this is what I have. Okay, so this is the lining and this is the main body. So for if your fabric is not so strong, you can iron interfacing to it so that you can have something really strong. So I'll go ahead now and iron interfacing to this. Then after ironing my interfacing, I'm going to place them against each other, and then I'm going to turn it out first. Okay, so after turning it out, I'm going to sew it, or you can just sew it separately and use them to turn out each other. Whichever one you want to work with is fine, but I would just prefer to turn everything out first before I sew. Okay, so I have attached my interfacing to the lining part now. So what I'm going to do is to place the lining against the main fabric, and then I'll go ahead and sew it all around, and then I'm going to leave a little space here on the upper part because I'm still going to turn this part, so I can just leave a little space here to turn it out. Then I'll bring it back to show us what we have. And like I said, you can sew them separately as well and use them to turn out each other. Whichever one is convenient for you is fine. I have sewn this round now, so you can notch it because of the curves, and then from this small space that I left, I'm going to turn it out. So after turning it out, I'm going to take it to the ironing table and iron it well before we come back to sew it. Okay, so I've ironed this now. So this is what it looks like. Remember, this was how we started it. We measured 5.5 inches for the hack, for the cone part, then we slanted it before creating our neckline, and then we slanted this part. So to sew it now, I'm going to fold it again. Remember, I've used my lining to cover it up because I have an interfacing there. So after closing it, that's the right side facing the right side. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew close this cone part, and then I'm going to stop where my cone stops. So you're going to sew it like you're taking a dart. Okay, from here you close it up here, and then you sew this part. So after closing this part, I'm going to create my dart. So now I'm going to create like an inverted dart here and also on the neckline. So you make sure that whatever dart that you're creating, what you have here, by the time you finish creating your dart, will still be enough for you to sew around your neckline. So you can see that I've completely closed mine up. So because you're still going to turn this neckline with lining, you may not need to close it up. It's not necessary, or else you want it to be detachable and then you want everything to be neatly finished. So I'm going to sew this hack part close now, and then we're going to create our inverted pleat on both sides. So I have sewn the hack close now. So after sewing it close, the next thing I'm going to do now is to flip it to the right side. So once you have it on the right side, you can see that it is now neat. Okay, that sewn part is not going to show. So this is what I have. So now I'm going to go ahead now and create my inverted pleat. So you arrange it anyhow you want it to be. I'll create the inverted pleat on both sides, and then I'll bring it back to show us what it looks like. So now the pleat is taken on both sides. So what you just need to do is to sew this part to your neckline. Okay, so like I said, you can use your neckline to shape out this type of neckline you want. This part, if this part is rough, you are going to use your lining to still clean up the neckline, so it's not going to show. So now I'll go ahead now and place this on the mannequin, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so here you sew it to the neckline like this, and then you can use your lining to turn the neckline out. And if you're not using your lining, just make sure that the edge here is neat and you sew as close as possible so that your seam line will not be so obvious. So this is the hack part, and this is the full view of the cape. So everything we have done here, you just need to replicate this on the other side and you are good to go. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it quickly so that we can see what the back also looks like. So you can see the back, and you can see our inverted pleat. So you can just direct the pleat anyhow it is you want it to follow, and then you sew this neckline as well to the neckline of the back. So this is just a regular boat neckline. I just placed this on this dress, so this neckline has to match with the neckline of the dress that you're working on. Then you sew it to it, and like I said, you can either turn it or you just leave it as it is.